After you graduated, how were you able to make that transition into the industry?
So I did that year, and that was in London. That was at a place called Camberwell College of the Arts. Then eventually I went to, I did my degree in the Bristol School of Animation in the west of England. And it's the city where Aardman is based, the people that make Wallace and Gromit. But it was also where Richard Williams lived at the time. It was one of those things where I went to that university because I saw that there were lots of ties to a lot of these kind of studios and things in the kind of English studios, and they would have these kind of guest talks. Basically in my first year of university, I met Jay Clark, who's the head of story on the Wes Anderson films. Jay's worked with Wes since the Grand Budapest Hotel, and then he was the only storyboard artist on Isle of Dogs and French Dispatch, where he storyboarded them completely on his own, which is unheard of. So I met him when he'd just finished. He was maybe still working on Isle of Dogs. I think it was towards the end. In my first year of university, he came in and he did a talk about storyboarding. I really liked it, and I kind of spoke to him afterwards, kind of made that connection. And then the following year, in my second year of university, he came back and he did the talk again. And I went to that. I said hello again. And me and another friend of mine, Nom Tarasenko, who's now a storyboard artist, who works for Aardman and lots of other places. She and I we were the two storyboard artists in our year at university that really wanted to go into it. And so we asked Jay if we could interview him for maybe an hour or something. We kind of just asked him all of the dumb questions, that really we should have known better. How do you start? Do you draw on the script? How many panels does it take to finish that minute? A lot of the stuff where the answer is it depends. But Jay was really lovely, and he kind of gave us both a lot of time and a lot of advice. And so I kind of got to know him a bit more through that. And then in the third year of my university, he came back for the third time. I kind of went to the lecture early to find that no one else was there yet except for Jay. And he was struggling to get his laptop connected to the projector. So I kind of tell him oh, I can fix this. I kind of know how this works. I kind of got his laptop connected to the projector. And just because I had business cards made that year for a different class, I kind of, jokingly gave him a business card and said, give me a ring if you ever have any tech support issues. And so I watched the lectures for the third year, enjoyed them again, and didn't really think much of it. About 2 weeks later, Jay gives me a ring and he says, "Hey, Joe, you know how you said about call if you have any tech support issues? I can't get my printer to work. Do you know anything about fixing printers?" And so I go, "Yes, definitely." And I make my way over to his kind of office space that he has. And as I'm going, I'm Googling how to fix a printer because I have no idea how to fix a printer.
Yeah.
But I'm like, well, I really like this guy. And I kind of want to get on his good side. I figure it out. I kind of go in, I fix his printer for him. And then kind of afterwards, he takes me to lunch to say thank you. And while we're having lunch, he basically says, "Hey, I've been thinking about doing a kind of little internship sort of thing where I have somebody just help me out kind of with errands and things like that. Would that be something that you're interested in?" And I say, yes, of course. So basically for 6 months, I was a bit of an assistant for him. Some stuff just mail packages, other things that ended up being a big part of my work when I worked with him years later, which was stuff like finding reference, which had ended up being quite important later on as a storyboard artist. The job that we do is finding the right reference so that we can then draw something correctly or have it have a specific energy or be in the right time period. The important thing was that he was working on a film called The French Dispatch, and he had no time really to work on any of his kind of other commissions. He was doing a poster for a rowing club that he was part of, but he didn't have time to do it. So he basically got me to draw it for him in his style, and I would draw it and I would show it to him, and he would kind of redline it, and he would say, "No, I would draw it like this." And then I would redraw it. And he would be like, "Oh no, that the idea isn't clear here." And I would redraw it. And he basically taught me to draw exactly like him, which then, fast forward a year later, I finished doing the internship with Jay. I've graduated. I've been looking for work. I've been applying for things, having a lot of tests, getting very close, having some really promising interviews, but not quite getting it. And, and I haven't been able to find work. And I get a phone call from Jay again. And I think it was the thing of, I was about to move back home to my parents' house. I'd kind of run out of money. And I get this phone call from Jay, and he basically says, "Hey, Joe, I'm starting a film with Wes on Monday. Are you free?" And I'm like, yes, I'm free. I think I can make that work. And it basically turned out that Wes really likes the animatics to look like they were all drawn by one single person. I mean, this is why Jay had done 2 films by himself, because Wes really likes the animatics to feel all very similar in style. And, like there's a single kind of vision running through it. And so Jay, wanted somebody else to kind of help with the workload. I mean, it's a massive workload to do with 2 people. It was an enormous workload to do with 1 person. I guess he realized like, oh, there's this kid that I've trained to draw exactly like me, so I can have him help out. And he knew that I could storyboard. While I was doing my internship with him, I would show him like these storyboards that I was working on. And so I guess there was that thing, if he kind of knew my work was good and he knew that I could draw like him. And so, yeah, that's how I got my job on Asteroid City.